Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to LinkedIn Tuesday. It's November 18th, 2025. We're very glad you're with us this afternoon. Please note this event is being recorded. It will be on the Career USA YouTube channel for others to view in the future. By participating in this event, you give consent for your name and picture to appear. Please note that any comments you put in the Zoom chat window will not appear in the recording. For everybody who's on Zoom, LinkedIn is all about connecting with other people. I suggest open up the chat window, type in your name, the position you're looking for, give us two or three companies that we can maybe help you with, give us your email address, your LinkedIn address, and connect with everybody else who's on the call because that's what LinkedIn is all about. So feel free to put those comments into the chat window. Well, good afternoon. My name is Jeff Morris. Back in 2008, I started a website called careerdfw.org, a website to help those unemployed in Dallas-Fort Worth area. In 2012, I launched careerusa.org to help those around the United States. I have written a book called What I've Learned About Your Job Search That You May Not Know. It is available on Amazon, or if you see me in person, I usually have copies with me. Since 2007, I've facilitated and led the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group. That group's been around since the late 1990s. I took it over in 2007 when the prior leader landed a job. And since 2017, I've been a member of the practice interview team, also known as the PIT crew. Don't wait until you have an interview to schedule an interview. Schedule one now. Practice, practice early, practice often is their motto. For more information, you go to dallaspitcrew.com. Well, we have four outstanding speakers who rotate through on a monthly basis talking about LinkedIn. Today, our speaker is Ruth Lipsky. She works for Lee Heck Harrison. She works with job seekers on a daily basis, helping them in their career search. And today, she's going to talk about back to basics, making LinkedIn work for you. So, Ruth, thank you very much for being with us, and it's all yours.
My pleasure. It is always good to be here to talk with you and to talk with people who are looking for their next role in life. Please be aware that what we're talking about is going to be things that are basic to LinkedIn, but everybody's got a different opinion on what can make you successful on LinkedIn. So we're going to be talking about how you set up a basic LinkedIn profile and why LinkedIn thinks it's important and what LinkedIn does with your information. LinkedIn knows that there's no such thing as a perfect profile, but it does know that you have some goals that you want to meet. And one of them is that on LinkedIn, you need to show what your values are, what your skills are, what your experience is. But you also need to keep in mind that you're going to be found by recruiters by a search engine optimization, by an algorithm. People are going to be looking for your type of role on LinkedIn. You need to make sure they can find you. And we need to make sure that when they come onto your profile, that they can read it, that it's welcoming, that it's something that they can understand, and they can skim through and recognize your value. And if you have all of that, then you've got something that is authentic, that is optimized, and is going to be much more successful than if you try a lot of tweaks and tools and things that might not be necessarily good for you. So, the agenda that we're going to have today, we're going to talk about the headshot that you've got on LinkedIn. We're going to talk about the headline that is right underneath your headshot. We're going to be talking about the hashtag open to work feature and who should be using it. We'll talk about the about section because it is the biggest area of LinkedIn where you can put a ton of good information. We'll talk about your experience section and your skills section. So, as we start off, we're going to say that you need to have a profile picture. It should be just you, not you holding your dog, not you with somebody's arm around you that you've cut off near the shoulder. So, just one person. You need to be looking at the camera because that's an indication of trust and responsibility. Smiling is a plus. It is not required, but you need to look as if you would be a good person to be working with, an easy person to fit into their team or their culture. Don't tilt your head. Women tend to do this more than men because it's a sign of femininity when you are in a picture. But in a professional and a business environment, a tilted head normally is a sign of submission and takes away from the authenticity and the professionalism that you're trying to display here. The clothing, match what you're going to be wearing to work. Maybe a little bit better than that, but the days of everybody being in very formal suit and ties, those days are gone. We're looking for people who are going to fit in, and sometimes that means just a polo shirt. Sometimes it means a button-down shirt. Sometimes it means a suit and tie, but wear whatever clothes would be appropriate for you. The background picture is that large area on the top of the profile page. It is a huge rectangle, and it's got a camera icon on the top right-hand side so that you can upload a branded picture, a picture that is part of your expertise. It can either indicate a industry, it could indicate a title, it could indicate a skill, something that when a recruiter or somebody else comes onto your profile, they get an immediate vision of who you are, what you do. LinkedIn is going to provide you with all kinds of suggested backgrounds. Don't use them. Too many people are using them, and it takes away the uniqueness if you're using something that the last 30 people that the recruiter looked at also use that background. Make it important for you. And if you want suggestions, you can go to Google Images, type in LinkedIn background, and they will give you thousands of rectangular pictures. We're looking mostly for pictures that are a visual representation of what you want to do next in life. However, if you want to put in a quote in the background, we're seeing a lot of success with that too. So if you wanted a quote that indicates what keeps you moving, what it, pulls together your management style, use a quote in the background if you feel as if it's something that is more important. Your headline. This is your real opportunity to tell a recruiter or a hiring manager something important about you. This is the most expensive real estate on LinkedIn. It is the most useful and it is the one that has the highest algorithm points associated with it. You've only got 220 characters in it, so you don't have an awful lot of room, but it's the only place that LinkedIn is going to be able to give information to that recruiter. So when a recruiter is doing a search on LinkedIn Recruiter software, they're going to type in a title, they're going to type in a couple skills, they may put in a geographic location, and LinkedIn is going to give them over 10,000 profiles that match at least part of what they searched for. But what they give to the recruiter to make a decision as to which profiles they want to look at more carefully, they're going to give them the headshot, the name of the person, the headline area, and the last two job titles you've had. So the headline is the area that the recruiter is going to read to see if they want to view more about you. So use that 220 characters and put in your titles, a branding statement, whatever your expertise is, maybe a value proposition. But don't use special characters or emojis. Those distort the search. And if you have stars or fireworks or phone number, phone icons, you're not going to be found as readily. You'll be on the list. You'll just be further down because LinkedIn can't read it as well and tends to skip things that it can't read. So you've got 220 characters. What do you think the recruiter needs to know about you in order to pull you in for an interview? Basically, you can put in a title or two, and you can put in the skills that you think are most important for the job that you're applying for. Or you can have a couple titles and put in a value statement, accomplishing X through Y. It gives you the opportunity to put in both the hard technical skills and the soft professional skills. Or you can put in a couple titles and then put in using X to increase or decrease Y. Gives you ability to talk about what you do of value that can be important for that company. So let's take a look at what that looks like. If you are somebody who has skills that are very specific to success in your job, that's what you want to put in your headline. So a full stack application developer is going to put in the software programs that they are good at. The recruiter knows which software are most important. Their eye is going to be drawn to, we need somebody who knows JavaScript. Here's a person right up on top, puts it in the headline, must be good at it. Real good way if you have skills that are going to be hugely important in your role. If you have a title that is more broad and may have different skills or activities associated with it, you can put in a statement like cost cutting strategist to say, not only am I a good analyst and part of data solutions, but I also can do something important that you're probably going to be interested in your job. If you're something like a data scientist, once again, pretty broad, put in the information that is going to be more associated with what your success is, what your skills are, where you want to be. Customer experience manager, raise satisfaction scores. Global marketing manager, being able to indicate the high strategic skills that are needed. In the headline area, you don't need common skills. You don't need leadership. You don't need communication. You need to have the skills that separate you from the masses so that they can be able to see you and understand what you can do once you get into the company. Most valuable real estate. Take some time and make sure that you're comfortable with what you're telling a recruiter about yourself. Location. We tend to forget location is an important part. Certainly, once we got through the pandemic and everybody thought remote jobs were here to stay forever, and some of them are, location didn't seem to be as important. However, recruiters are using this more and more as a feature. So LinkedIn allows you to put in a postal code. And in the postal code area, they're going to give you two choices. You can either have the exact city that you're part of, or it will give you a metropolitan area that's close to you. What we have found is that metropolitan areas come up higher in a search than individual cities do. Don't know why, but if you have an opportunity to put a metropolitan area in your location, do it. Even if you're in a city that everybody knows where that city is, make it a metroplex. Your other option on location, though, could also be just to put United States. And in United States, there are ways that you can look at that as saying, I am willing to relocate anywhere in the United States, or I'm willing to take a job anywhere in the United States that's remote. However, LinkedIn does not feel that a country is enough information to give you points on your profile that brings you high in the search. So it ignores country altogether, and you get 0 points for location when a recruiter is asking for one. So United States is a big zilch when it comes to LinkedIn. You're much better off putting in the city where you're located or the metropolitan area. Industry. LinkedIn has assigned you an industry. You can't change it right now. LinkedIn is moving toward the NAICS standard. So instead of the 149 different industries that LinkedIn currently has, they want to move to the 1,173 that NAICS has. So you can't change it at this time. You will be able to do that in the future. Recruiters are able to see what industry and can sort by what industry you're in, but most of the time they're more interested in what skills do you have and what types of activity have you done that would support those skills. So industry, if you're trying to change it, not yet, but maybe someday. The hashtag open to work. It does let recruiters know that you're available, and there are different ways to look at that. The first thing to remember is that the hashtag open to work is the first filter a recruiter will use. They don't want to talk to somebody who isn't willing to interview and move to a new job. So when you're in your job preferences area, you've got two different choices that you can have. Once you fill out the job titles, the different locations, and by the way, if you're interested in remote work, you do need to put United States or the countries that you're willing to work remote for in this area. This is all you need to be able to say, I'm willing to work anywhere in the United States on a remote basis. Don't want to relocate, but if it's remote in the United States, that's where you put it. Recruiters will be able to find it. Okay, but as far as visibility, who can see that you're open to work? Most people are okay with putting in, I want recruiters who are using the LinkedIn recruiter software to be able to see it, but I'm not willing to have everybody that's on LinkedIn see it. Be aware that if you only use the recruiters that are using LinkedIn recruiter software, you are eliminating half of the recruiters who are using LinkedIn to find people to interview. And that's a problem. You really want to be able to be found by any company in any format. And not having that LinkedIn hashtag open to work can be a problem. So why don't people like that? Well, one is that they think it might look desperate. The problem with that is that there are some recruiters and hiring managers that still look at that hashtag open to work as a negative feature. These are people who normally were involved in the older way of layoffs. 15, 20 years ago, the reason you got laid off is because you were the worst performer in that team normally. And being able to say that you were part of a layoff indicates that you were a really poor performer. That's not the way it's been in the 2010s. And in fact, in the late, from about 2005 on, there were so many mergers, acquisitions, where people got laid off because their whole department got laid off. Their company was bought by another company and their job was redundant, didn't need that anymore. Immensely talented people got laid off. Then the pandemic came and companies restructured financially in order to survive that time and laid off whole departments of people there too. So the negatives that were used to be associated with I've been laid off still exist, but it's only the 20-25% of the recruiter population that feels that way. They do feel that sometimes there is going to be reputation damage associated with being laid off. Not the way layoffs work these days. Not when a company is shedding that many people. People who are talented, capable people are getting laid off. So putting that hashtag open to work on a positive, LinkedIn will increase your visibility because it's helping you find a job. And by increasing its visibility, they're going to be increasing your placement on the order of a recruiter search. So instead of being down at number 200 on the search, they're going to bring you way up closer to the top of that recruiter search, particularly if the recruiter is saying, I really want to see the people who are open to work. You'll get more messages. LinkedIn is going to be pushing more information to you. LinkedIn wants you to be employed. And it also gives you some networking opportunities where people who are interested in networking, connecting to people, will be more appreciative of you if they see that you're connecting for a professional reason. So, unless you're in a high executive position that is not going to be found on LinkedIn as easily, you probably want to keep that hashtag open to work on and visible. Jeff, you want to step in and give your opinion on the hashtag open to work banner? You're on mute though.
I would always have it turned on. I think it's if you're looking for a job, you never know who's going to be looking at your profile and go, oh, I didn't know Joe was looking for a job. I enjoyed working with Joe years ago. Let me see how I can connect. So it's not a bad thing anymore. To me, it's not a negative. If you're looking for if you're looking for work, be sure to put the logo on there, and then please make sure in your about statement that you put a phone number and an email address so the recruiter can reach out to you. The last thing a recruiter wants to do is have to use a LinkedIn InMail because so few people respond to that. They want to pick up the phone and call you right away.
Thank you, Jeff. Perfect. Okay, let's take a look at that analytics area that is right underneath your headline area. There is no pure number of what you want here. Some people are going to be able to find a job when they've only appearing in 20 search appearances on a regular basis. But as you are adding to your LinkedIn profile, as you are changing your LinkedIn profile, you're looking for these numbers, the search appearances and the profile views to go up. That's your sign of success. LinkedIn is saying you added more, you put in more specifics, you change your headline to be more interesting. We're going to bring you up in your searches because we see that you are interested in finding another job and you are taking steps to make yourself more visible and more interesting to recruiters and to hiring managers. Watch these numbers here because that's going to tell you the success of what you have on your LinkedIn profile. If they start going down, some of that is going to be seasonal, coming into Thanksgiving, coming into the end of December, where activity does go down quite a bit. But you still want to be keeping activity going on LinkedIn because your track record of LinkedIn is going to continue to make you more visible. So the more often you are visible on LinkedIn, the more often you act on LinkedIn, hit the enter button, look for a job, add a skill, the higher LinkedIn is going to give you preference on the job listing. The About section, oh my gosh, biggest section of LinkedIn. You're going to talk about your successes. You're going to be talking about your experiences. Use as many keywords as you can that are appropriate for the job that you're looking for. The first 4 lines of the About section can be seen before somebody clicks on the See More area. So those first 4 lines have got to be attention grabbers, got to be things that make people want to see the rest of your profile. And for readability, none of your paragraphs should be more than 4 lines deep. As soon as they become 5 lines deep, they're not readable, they become a wall of words, and nobody's going to read them. So if need be, you can have each sentence as a different paragraph, space them out using some white space between there, but make sure that when you are having a human eye look at your About section, that it is readable and that the first part is something that is interesting. So the About section itself, begin with a hook. And here's one that's used quite often. Give a title with so many years of experience, or if you don't want to put years of experience, you can put with extensive experience in this area. I help companies do something of value. That's a good way to start out because it immediately says, here's what type of title you're looking for, and here's the value that you bring to a company. Put in your current role, put in your key skills. The skills are important for your next job, not the job you had that you never want to have again. You're going to talk about achievements using numbers or metrics as much as possible. Sometimes in the About section, we have, I am excellent at doing this. I've got a track record of doing that. Having the words there is a good thing, but until you say that you have done something and put some numbers associated with it, it doesn't really come through as a high value. But non-quantifiable results can be a powerful way of talking to. Not everybody has metrics associated with everything that they've done. non-quantifiable ones are good too. Make sure you highlight the value that you've brought to the organization. And this is going to be both the technical skills that you have and the managerial skills. Are you good at problem solving? Are you good at building relations? Are you good at being diplomatic? Those are all skills that a company is going to be looking for in order to make sure you're a culture fit, that you're going to be able to work on their team. But they also want to know about that technical information too. At the very end, you can mention something about your personality, something about your interests. Make sure that's at the bottom. The very, very bottom is going to be, please feel free to contact me at, and then give an email, give a phone number, some way that you can have the recruiter contact you rather than message that you. As Jeff said, recruiters really don't like that messaging feature. People don't read that as often as they read their own email. So we talked about non-quantifiable accomplishments. We tend to forget that these are important in life also. So being able to say, I made it easier to do something. I contributed to negotiations. I went to a leadership program. I created a process. I was part of a client relationship. So being able to put in information that is not necessarily something that you can put numbers on, but indicates where you were drawn into an organization, why the organization thought that you were good at your job, can sometimes be things that don't have numbers. Don't give up on those. Put those in too. Now, the About section generally comes in a couple different flavors. One is if you're looking for the same job. So here's an example of what an About section can look like. And it's, I've got 4 years experience. Here's what I can do. Here are more skills. Here's some soft skills. Let's connect. You don't have to use all 2,600 characters in the About section in order to be a strong statement of who you are and what you can do next. Here's somebody who is looking for a similar job. Different example. They pulled out 3 things that made them very good at their job and put in more information about, here's the type of thing I did. Here's some successes that I've had in these skilled areas. So being able to expand out, here's my role. Now I'm giving the details of why I'm good at it, can be good. If you're putting in examples, your key is 3 to 5 examples. If you have less than 3 examples, then you're not broad enough. If you have more than 5 examples, then you have diluted the impact of the ones that you have. So 3, 4, or 5 experience stories in your About section are going to be more effective. Okay, here's another one looking for the same job. Here's an executive who is under a non-compete and a non-disclosure, in which case she's not able to put in numbers and is not able to put in as many stories that have high-level companies that she's worked with. But she's got strengths. And if you're in the executive area, you need to have high-level strengths. These need to be strategic. They need to be complex. It can't be, I'm a good communicator. Once again, 3 to 5. Then she put in, here's some experience stories. And she started out with, here's a story about how I am a merger and acquisition. Here's how I am in program building. Here's how I am in life cycle. And a story on each one of those. So if you have some skills that you think are critical to how you're going to be needed for a future job, put them in, either in detail, like this person did, or put them in a broader aspect, like this person does, who's more interested in the executive jobs. Now, here's another type of job search, looking for more than one job. In the job I last did, I wore several hats. there are several next jobs I can have. My company may have given me this one title, but I can do several others. So being able to take the experience that you have had and break it into the smaller components to show that you can be an enterprise agile coach, product owner, a scrum master, because you have that experience. This is the person who's going to use the most space on the LinkedIn About section because they're going to say, here are a couple different job titles. I have done this type of work. My company didn't give me that particular job title, but I've done that type of role. So putting in the types of jobs that you're looking for, LinkedIn only allows you to have one profile. It used to be that you could have a different profile for each one of the jobs that you were looking for. No more. One profile is all you get. They expanded the About section so that you could explain why you're capable of doing more than one role. You're going to need a separate resume for each one of these, but certainly being able to say that you're able to do more than one type of role, we're seeing more of that in the marketplace. Now, how about this person? I am not going back to the job that I had before. I want to change careers. If you're going to be looking for a complete change from what you've done before, you need to be able to explain why you're looking to change and what skills you bring to your new job that you have that you've learned in your old job. So, um, account manager. Uh, Now I want to move into this other area, and this is why. And here are the skills that I bring. These can be soft skills. They don't need to be the hard technical skills, but being able to explain that you're looking for a job change, not because you weren't successful in that job, but because you want to utilize another set of skills. Here's another example of somebody looking to change careers. Once again, not a real long about section, but here's the job I had. It was a good job. I liked it. But now I want to change my career, and here's why. And then bringing in the skills achieved through that earlier career is going to make this person more credible as a way of changing to something new. Everybody comfortable on all those? Because those are all different ways that you can use the About section. Any questions?
I have a question. Um, so as a project manager, I've been in one industry for a good number of years and I'm looking to segue to another industry. Should I just also indicate that in my about section? Like say I want to go into various industries.
Absolutely. If you want to pivot to a new industry, in the About section at the bottom, after you've explained all of your skills, you can put in a statement. Although my career has been based on telecommunications, I have always had more of an interest in healthcare, and I'm hoping to pivot my career into that area.
Okay,
So
thank you.
the industries that have had the most hiring in the past year have been healthcare, construction, retail, and the government. So if you're trying to pivot out of a career that is regressing, like telecommunication what is, and you want to move into one that is growing, that's certainly a statement that you can put into the About section, but it needs to be toward the bottom because the top part of your About section always needs to be, here's the reason you should hire me.
Okay.
Now,
Um, sorry, go ahead.
well, as Jeff said, part of what you should be doing on your LinkedIn profile is giving information that is going to be useful when a recruiter is looking at it. And at the very bottom, being able to say, feel free to contact me. You can put in a phone number here if you are comfortable with that on social media, but absolutely put in a statement here. Prior to that, you should have that statement on what it is that is something personal about you. I like SpaceX, I like NFL football, and I like Buc-ee's. Being able to put a little bit there humanizes you so that you are no longer the person who has these skills. You're the person who has these skills and stops off at Buc-ee's for gas and for all of the treats you can buy there. So those are two things that you do to your About section that are going to be expanding it so that people are more interested in you and are able to contact you more easily. Okay, and all that. Okay, let's keep going. The experience section, you have on your resume your experience section. That should be very, very similar to what you have on your LinkedIn profile. Recruiters are going to be matching and making sure that the dates are the same, that you've got consistency in titles. But a question that comes up a lot is, when should I show that I'm no longer at that most recent job? When do I close out that company? Normally, that's 2 to 3 months along. Uh, Recruiters give you a little bit of time to settle out, to rebalance yourself, but you need to have an explanation for why you're not employed. And LinkedIn created a career break so that you can put in a reason that you are no longer in a full-time job. It can be that you are in a career transition, that you were laid off, your position was eliminated, that you were doing some other aspect rather than getting a full-time job. The problem with using a career break is that LinkedIn still looks at you as being unemployed. So does everybody else. You don't have a job. And what we have found is that when people are looking on LinkedIn for somebody and they're looking for somebody who has certain skills, they check a box frequently that says, I want this skill to appear in their current job so I know that they're using it now, so that they're using the most recent version of it. Well, if you don't have a most recent job because you've closed out your previous job, then you are now invisible to recruiters who might be looking for a skill that you're very good at. So instead, you're going to want to create a placeholder job that is going to be able to put in information about what your next titles are, putting in a fact that it is a placeholder job and not a real one, but putting in a lot of information about what you did in your previous role so that they are still going to be able to find you. So let's take a look how that would appear. In your experience section, this plus section here allows you to either add a career break, and this is where you can pick something that says, not working, here's why. A better thing to do, though, is to say, I want to add a new position. And in this new position, you can put in a lot of titles. So if you want to say program manager, then you'll use a pipe, the straight up and down feature that's right above your enter key. And you're also a project manager. You can put up to 100 characters worth of titles here. Employment type, skip, but you do need to have a company. And being able to say that you're just open to work, people have put in some fake companies so that you can use and open to work without it looking as if it's too unusual, but still being able to say this is absolutely a placeholder job. And then being able to put in the description area, put in everything that you had in your most recent role, put it into this area, because you want people to see that these are the skills, this is the information that you did in your most recent job. You're saying this is the placeholder for it, but these are the skills that you're able to use. Okay, Sai, you had a question?
Yes, ma'am. In this, I have a little company that I've done some independent training through and help some nonprofit businesses and stuff like that. That's usually what I put up at the top when I'm in between jobs. Does that raise red flags or anything like that?
No, no.
Okay.
Having a placeholder that is, I'm trying entrepreneurship, contract work, whatever else is fine.
Okay. Thank you.
As long as you're also saying that you're open to work,
Yes.
because otherwise they're going to look at you and say, oh, he started his own company. He doesn't need us anymore. He's not going to be interested. Make sure that
Yeah.
that open to work is still available.
Yeah. The dates of it overlap several other positions, so I've had it for years.
Good for
Okay. Thank you.
you. All right. Let's talk about one other thing about titles. The title is a huge part of success in the recruiter finding you. An exact match on title is going to be important. So being able to put in multiple titles in your experience section is going to be worthwhile. So at Lee Hecht Harrison, I am known as a career consultant, but it's also known as a career coach or a career counselor in the business. I put all of those in so that people can find me. In a previous role, senior manager of training and development, my team's responsibility was to move classroom training into virtual training. And during that time, I became an instructional designer and I became really good at e-learning development. So I put those titles in parentheses to indicate that although the company gave me this title, these titles are more accurate portrayal of what I actually did in my job. So if your company gave you a title, always put that in. That's important for your background check. But in parentheses, you can put in the titles that indicate what you actually performed in your job. And that gives you a better chance of a recruiter finding you for a slightly different title than what you did before. Okay, another question out there? Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, I can't figure out how to raise my hand, but should you put why you're unemployed in that section where you're in your job transition? You know, say seeking new opportunity because role was eliminated during restructuring or
No,
corporate
that
acquisition.
will come up, that'll come up in your interview. When a recruiter sees that you are not employed right now, with today's economy and the way that businesses are acting, they're going to assume that you are part of a layoff. In the interview, they are going to ask, why are you looking for a job? And you're going to say, my company restructured for financial reasons, and I was one of 200 people who were let go. So that's where you put that information. But recruiters now are under the assumption that anytime you're not currently employed, but you're showcasing that you're interested in becoming employed again, it's because you got laid off as a company was restructuring. So don't bring that up. Wait for them to bring it up. And when they ask that question, why are you looking for a job? They're really just saying, did you get laid off because you punched your boss out? Were you laid off for a reason other than normal layoff? And as long as you were just laid off as part of a massive restructuring, you'll be okay. Nothing to be ashamed of these days. It's happening a lot. Okay, James, question?
Yes. Hi, everyone. By the way, I have actually seen that happen. When someone was laid off, they actually went in and punched out their boss. So, needless to say, they didn't get the severance package. Anyway, can you guys hear me okay, Ruth?
Yes.
All right. So my question was back on that when you're doing the placeholder. If I followed along correctly, there was a spot that says open to work. So that makes it crystal clear that you're not trying to make up some whatever phantom company or anything. This is just a placeholder, and so I just want to make sure it's really obvious and what the intent is there.
As long as it's obvious that this company is a placeholder, rather than something that you're pretending like Microsoft just hired you and you're willing to move out from that. Yeah,
Okay.
as long as it's open to new opportunities, open to additional work, that's all the recruiters are really looking for. They know that that's a problem within LinkedIn, but they don't have a way around it because if they need somebody who is using Python right now, they don't want to find somebody who used Python 8 years ago and hasn't
Right.
used it since.
Yep. Okay. Thank
Okay.
you.
All right. Barry, question?
Hey, I had two quick questions. I noticed one of my friends also did this as well. When you are let go of a job, should you put an end date or just act like it's a present job?
You've got 2 to 3 months that you can keep your job open
Uh,
because
it's
LinkedIn
been a minute.
allows you a period of time, and some people keep it open for as long as they're on severance. But at some point in the interview process, you're going to have to admit that you do not have a job right now. And it's best if you bring that up fairly quickly. So
Okay,
closing it out and putting in a placeholder job is going to give you the benefit of all of LinkedIn's algorithm without losing out on um, misleading any recruiter.
okay. And then one other question was the hashtag open to work or open to hire, yeah, open to work or something. How would
Mhm.
one do that?
All right. Underneath your top section here with your name, there's going to be a blue open to,
Hmm.
and one of them is going to be open to work. Once you
Okay,
have that set up, it'll appear as a bluish gray box here. And in here, you're going to be able to put in up to 5 different titles that you're interested in. And those 5 titles you cannot put in as free form. It has to be one of the LinkedIn approved titles. And LinkedIn has 6,000 titles that they have standardized. It's to allow the recruiter to be able to find you by using the same title. So if your last job was Chief of Disruption, nobody out there is going to be looking for Chief of Disruption outside of Microsoft or Amazon. Everybody else is going to use Project Manager. So by standardizing the titles, they're being able to allow you to speak the same language as a recruiter. Where do you want to work? When you're on site, where do you want to be? If it's remote, where do you want to be? What your start date is going to be. Immediate gives you a boost in the recruiter in order to bring you up higher. What types of employment? More and more people are taking a look at contract because companies are hiring contract people at a greater degree than full-time people because they want to try somebody out before they actually bring them in. So putting in contract is going to give you a boost there. And then being
okay,
able to say, do you want recruiters to see you only if they are using the LinkedIn Recruiter software, or do you want everybody to see? Generally, letting everybody see and having that hashtag open to work banner is going to be most useful for you.
okay. I think I have it recruiters only. That's why I don't see the hashtag on it. So I'm gonna definitely make the changes so I can see for everyone to see and go through the whole um, preferences and whatnot in regards to the positions I'm interested in, all that.
There you go.
Thank you so much, Ruth.
No problem.
Ruth, I have a question, please.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for doing this video. It's been very helpful. My name is Salvatore Di Paola. I'm curious on your profile experience or the example that you showed where it said Trans-America, Trans-Western. How are you able to put the bullet point and the line under? It just looks so clean and crisp, and I'm not sure how to do that.
Putting this separator here.
Um, let's see. Let's see, share screen. So right where it says senior manager,
Mm-hmm.
and then it's that bullet point, and then there's a line down to the next one. How were you able to do that?
Oh, over here where
Yes,
it's
ma'am.
grouping all of them. As
Yes.
long as you have the same company next to each one of your jobs, then LinkedIn is going to create that indentation for you.
Got it. So if it's only one, you won't see it, but if it's more than one with the same company, it will automatically do that.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you so much.
You bet.
All right.
Okay, let's go back. We just talked about adding more titles because your title that the company gave you may not necessarily indicate what kind of work you did. So either putting them as a pipe to translate it, or by putting similar titles in parentheses will give you a better chance of finding the recruiters. Education, all of the classes, all of the courses, even if they weren't taken in college, expand out the education because these days a company wants to hire you if you're 80% matched for the job. But they want to know that you are capable of learning new things. And putting in more into your education section can be useful, either in education or in the courses section. Skills, LinkedIn has identified 3,600 skills. You're not going to use all of them, but you need to be able to put them into your profile so that you're going to highlight the ones that are most important for your next job. So you can have up to 100. Hope you never need 100. That looks a bit too much. 50 or 60, that's fine. But 100, yikes, that's a lot. If you're a manager, you need to have both the technical skills and the managerial skills. So if you've been a manager, you can list all those technical skills that got you there, but you also need to put in coaching and mentoring and delegation and things that indicate that you know how to be a manager. LinkedIn will only recognize a skill that has at least one endorsement. So you may put 100 skills out there, but if the skills don't have at least one endorsement for it, then LinkedIn can't find it. The recruiter will be able to see it when they get onto your profile, but it doesn't count toward the algorithm if you don't have a endorsement. So once you've created your skill set and you have the skills that you think are most important for a recruiter or a new company, send a note out to people in your network and say, I'm expanding my LinkedIn profile. I am trying to strengthen it. Would you mind endorsing me for any of these, and list your top 10 skills and maybe give a different 10 to the next person? And always say, I'd be happy to endorse you for skills that you think are going to be important for your next job. It doesn't take long. You go out there, click on it. Easy. The algorithm that LinkedIn has says that the more endorsements you have, and 99 would be the most you could have, the more you have, the more LinkedIn assumes that you've got proficiency in that skill. It does the same thing if you have skills in another section of your profile. We're just looking at the skill section where here's the skill you have. But if you say you have a skill and you're using it in your headline, in your about section, in your experience section, LinkedIn counts the number of times you mention that skill. And the more times you mention a skill, the higher level of proficiency LinkedIn assumes that you have. So being able to put those skills in the areas that are most visible as a recruiter is reading things so they've got context for it is going to be important. You can change the order of your skills, the three dots, then click on reorder, and then you use the parallel lines to be able to move the skills up and down. When a recruiter comes onto your skill section, looks at your skills, you want your top skills to be showing up. So the top 15 skills on that list need to be the ones that are amazingly good. The top 2 on your list are the ones that are going to show on your profile page. Now, LinkedIn wants you to have a complete profile, and they've identified a complete profile as being an all-star. You have to have a photo. You have to have a location. You have to have an industry. They assign that. You can't change it. Your about section has to have at least 40 words. You have to have a current position, which means that you have to put that placeholder job out there or just not close out the job that you had previously. You have to have education, and you have to have in your skills section at least 5 of them. If you have all of these, you become an all-star, and LinkedIn gives you a slight preference. It may not be a lot, but in these days where you've got 1,000 people applying for a job, anytime you can get up ahead of other people on the algorithm, you do it. So, things we talked about on the LinkedIn algorithm. Don't use special characters or emojis anywhere on your profile. LinkedIn cannot read them and will stop reading sometimes when it sees them. The more times you mention a skill anywhere in your profile, the higher level of proficiency it's assumed that you have, brings you up higher if the recruiter is looking for that particular skill. Words in the headline have the biggest value. Locations with metropolitan areas come up higher than single cities do. Only skills with an endorsement can be found by LinkedIn when they're doing a search. That open to work becomes less effective over time. LinkedIn is aging everything on your profile. And you may have spent time setting up your profile where you think you are telling a great story and you're happy with what you're seeing. However, after 2 months, LinkedIn is ignoring you more and more because you're no longer active. So every 2 months, you need to turn off that hashtag open to work, turn it back on again. It's like a light switch. You don't need to wait any time at all. But every 2 months, you also need to change something in your headline, and you need to change the first paragraph of your About section. So you need to keep active in those areas so that LinkedIn is able to continue to value you. Now, the other side of your search is the human side, the recruiters. You need to have a background that's interesting. You need to have that headshot. You need to have a headline that shows value. Those top 4 lines in the About section need to draw people in. The About section needs to be readable. Make sure you've got short paragraphs with the technical skills in front of your managerial skills. Top 2 skills you've got in that skill section should be your superpowers. And being able to have your skills in the order of importance is important. And those are just some statistics of interest. Okay, questions. Lolita?
Yes. I've been searching. I'm in the Dallas Fort Worth area, DFW area. How do I make it show that Metroplex? What zip code do I use? Because I've only been able to show Dallas and use a Dallas zip code.
Okay, when you are on your profile and you're in the location section, you're going to put your zip code, but when it shows Dallas, there should be a drop down where you can choose between your city and the Metroplex.
Okay, I tried that and mine is gray. It won't let me change that it's Dallas.
It won't let you change that it's a DFW
let me-
Metroplex?
Yeah, it won't let me go to Let me put that zip code that you have and see what happens.
Sure. Okay.
52 0. Yeah, it keeps it gray. Oh, it actually changed it to Plano.
Okay.
So
And now when you click on that right-hand side of the Plano box, does it offer you the opportunity to change it to?
it's gray. It won't give me the option. It just in gray, it says Plano, Texas, as if that's what it's going to be because you gave me this postal code.
And it doesn't give you any other options?
No, it does not.
Ooh, better change it back to your city then.
Yeah.
That's a problem. I hadn't heard that. Yeah, you might want to check with LinkedIn on that or shut down the computer and restart it. Sometimes LinkedIn will freeze
No,
areas.
Actually, I've tried multiple times prior to now, and that's been a question I've been wanting to ask a LinkedIn expert for a couple of weeks now. So, yeah, I've tried it on my laptop. I've tried it on my. So maybe that's something they're not allowing anymore. I don't know.
Stay after, and if you don't mind sharing your screen with me, I'll see what I can see on that.
Thank you.
Okay. And James, you had a question?
Yes, you said it earlier on, Ruth, but would you mind repeating, as far as I need to get a background for mine other than what's out there currently. So you said don't necessarily go to this place, but go to Google instead. So I just want to make sure I'm looking in the right places, etc.
Okay, if you go to Google Images and type in LinkedIn background, it's going to give you thousands of rectangular pictures. And Google is going to allow you to filter down into the type of work that you do. So if
Okay.
you wanted to say LinkedIn background for a project manager, it's going to give you different types of pictures that might be worthwhile. Scroll through them, see which ones you like. If you like one, you're going to right click on it and then save image as, because you have to drop it in your picture folder. That's the only place LinkedIn can find it. But save a couple pictures because some of these look really good in the small tiles, but when you blow them up into your background, they become fuzzy and you don't like fuzzy.
Okay.
So try out a couple different things. So it could be project manager. And as soon as you change that, notice that Google has changed the types of filters that you can use. So if it's more of a technical project, maybe these are the types of things that you want to have in your background. Your other option, though, is to have a quote. Never, never, never give up. Winston Churchill. These are going to come up in Google Images in a way that you can see, but they're not going to fit into that rectangular background unless you can find it in a way that you can get a slice out of the picture that gives you everything that you need. So quotes are a little bit harder to come by sometimes, but if you just wanted to take a look at inspirational quotes, there are plenty of them there.
Okay.
Executive quotes, plenty of them there. So either a picture or a quote are generally considered to be reasonable backgrounds these days.
Okay. Thank you.
Diana?
Hi, it's Dana, but thank you. Anywhere
Oh,
close
Dana,
by is
sorry.
it. No worries. If any of you guys are Canva users, you can create your own LinkedIn banner in Canva. Mine is terrible, but it is an example of what I created in Canva. I just didn't know what I needed. So now that Ruth has explained that to me better, I'll go fix that. But again, if you're Canva users, you can build it in Canva and then save it in your photos and upload it to LinkedIn.
Okay, didn't find you.
That was me right there.
Oh, was it?
Hmm.
The one with the great
Yeah, see, it's just
opportunity
gray
here.
or gray, whatever. Yeah. But I did that as kind of a business thing for my real estate business. And then I took that stuff down because I'm looking for an actual job now. But I will go build a
Got it.
builder when now that I know more. But anyway, just wanted to share that if any of you guys are Canva users.
And Canva is a good thing to have. It is free as long as you are using their basic profiles and templates. It's generally not worth paying additional for it, but if you want something truly spectacularly different, sometimes you might need that. Okay, Barry?
Hey, quick question. I want to know how far back do you recommend an individual to go in regards to their prior job history? Um, Mine only goes back to 2012.
Um, on a resume, you're going to go back 12 to 15 years unless there's something spectacular you did earlier than that that you want to include. On LinkedIn, you can go back 20 years because LinkedIn is a little bit more forgiving. They are willing to see more of your career progression on LinkedIn. So resume, fairly short, keep it to 2 or 3 pages, although make it pretty dense because you've got to get past that applicant tracking system, which is simply a robot matching the skills that are in that job posting. But on LinkedIn, I'd go back 20 years
Okay.
because you want to be able to show more capabilities and progress.
Gotcha. Thank you very much.
Mhm. Anything else? Good questions, folks.
Well, Ruth, thank you very, very much. If you want to connect with Ruth, here is her, well, this is one of her old uh, background photos, but she keeps changing it on me every couple months, so I don't tend to keep up. But welcome to Lincoln with her. Welcome to Lincoln with me.
Oh, I had a question. Sorry. I do apologize.
Yeah, go ahead, Sam.
I stated, where does it say All-Star on the LinkedIn profile?
Oh, it doesn't. As soon as you become an all-star, it takes it off completely.
Okay, so I'm an All-Star then, I guess. All right, I'll take it.
Okay, there you go.
Thank you. All right.
Thank you. All right, next week we are going to have LinkedIn Tuesday next week. I know it's Thanksgiving, but we will be meeting on Tuesday. Terry Sullivan will be with us. The session will not be recorded, so if you want to watch Terry, you'll have to watch him live next Tuesday. How to tell your key contacts and prospects who you are, what you do, and how you can help. Terry looks at this from a marketing standpoint to really promote who you are. So join us. If you can, please join us next Tuesday. Tomorrow, the practice interview team is meeting in person on Wednesday to practice interviews. If you live in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, they're at Christ United Methodist Church, the corner of Parker and Coit in Plano. So that'll be tomorrow, Wednesday. And then on Thursday, instead of meeting next week, they're not meeting next Wednesday because of Thanksgiving. They're going to be doing their online special this coming Thursday at 1 o'clock. So you'll be able to watch. Anybody who's around the country can watch if you can't make it there in person on Wednesday. If you want the link and you didn't get the link today, because I put an email out today about that, just go to the careerusa.org website and look for training on the date of what I say, whatever tomorrow, Thursday is the 20th, 11/20, and you'll have a link there that you can open up and get to the video or get to the session. This Friday at the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group. It's hard to believe, but Monday was the 17th birthday of Career DFW. So I'm going to talk about the history of Career DFW, how I got it started, how I still wonder why I'm the only person who came up with this. And then I'll talk about the 4 stages of your job search that I think you need to focus on. So come join us Friday at 9:30 at the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group. The link is on the calendar. If you can't join us in person, you're welcome to come join us in person. You're welcome to join the Career DFW or careerusa.org LinkedIn groups. I started each one of them when I started the website. I've got over 16,100 members in the Career DFW group. You do not need to live in the Dallas-Fort Worth area to join that group, but I will look at your profile, and if your profile is not mostly complete, I may reject you because why are you on LinkedIn if you don't have a mostly complete profile? You want to be found. So take the time to spend some time and work on your profile. This session has been recorded. It will be on the Career USA YouTube channel. You can subscribe to the channel, and that way every time we post a new video, you'll find out about it. This one will be up later this afternoon. On the Career USA YouTube channel, click on playlist and then pick whatever playlist you want. I put every video into one of 7 different playlists. So you'd want to click on this one. It says LinkedIn, where you see that red arrow. It says view full playlist. If you click there, up will come in chronological order the speaker and then what the topic was. So that way you can go back and watch any of those videos at your convenience. If you're not receiving emails about our workshops and you'd like to join the Career USA mailing list, you can just scan this QR code, send a blank email. You don't have to have anything in it. Just send the email and you'll get added to our list, or you can just create a blank email and to send it to Career USA, the + subscribe at groups.io. You'll never be spammed because I control the list, and we'll make sure you know about our upcoming programs we've got going on. Please know Career DFW, we're a 501c3 nonprofit organization. All of our speakers are volunteer. Ruth is a volunteer. I'm a volunteer. Everything I've done over the last 17 years has just been to help you land your next great opportunity. So just want to thank everybody for joining us today. Ruth, thank you very, very much. Florence, I see you have your hand up, so let me stop the recording and then we'll get your question answered.